Hey guys, West Coast Taco here, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today, guys, we're going to go over my one-year review of my Toyota Tacoma's TRD Lift Kit. We're going to go over some of my regrets, some tips on how to actually make the install better, and just my overall story for the past year. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so it has been over a year since I got the TRD Lift Kit on my 2020 double cab lawn bed Toyota Tacoma. And guys, at the end of the day, what really got me started on this channel was this lift kit, because to kind of give you guys a backstory, and the reason I'm giving you this backstory is I've had so many people reach out to me over this past 3 or 4 months, and I think it's because a lot of people are buying the last third gen Tacomas and they're looking at lift kit options, and the TRD Lift Kit is something that strikes their interest. It struck mine. So basically kind of what happened to me was, guys, and how I got started on this whole journey of just the West Coast Taco channel in general was this lift kit. And the reason why is because when I got this double cab lawn bed Toyota Tacoma, I wasn't even aware of how great or how big or how vast the Toyota Tacoma community was. Like, I remember I bought it and I started researching stuff, and I was blown away when I started finding out all these websites and aftermarket accessories and modifications that you could buy, and just how cool and creative so many Tacoma owners were being with the interior and the exterior and just the overall capabilities they were able to get from these amazing trucks. And so for me, I've always been an OEM guy. I really like OEM fit, OEM finish. I think when you do that, it just makes the truck look super clean. I'm not saying that it's the best build. I'm not saying it's necessarily the best way, because it just depends on how you're going to utilize and drive your truck. But for me, this was going to be a kind of a collector's item for me, a very special piece, because I knew that the third gen was going to be one of the last true original mid-size pickups before they started adding a bunch of technology and started really changing the powertrain. So bought the truck, got the configuration I wanted. All of this information are in other videos of me doing my 1 year review of the truck in total. Basically, when it comes to the TRD Lift Kit, I wanted to do it because obviously it was an OEM product. I wanted to raise the truck a little bit. Sometimes these lawn bed trucks can look a little work trucky, but when you do it right, when you get them set up just right, that lawn bed really just adds a nice balance. I feel like a lot of times the short beds can look kind of stocky and they can look kind of funky when they get too high, but the lawn bed provides a beautiful balance, in my opinion. Once again. So anyhow, I started looking up, TRD Lift Kit, and I found it. And also, to kind of tag along with that, I wanted to do a heritage grill. I wanted to do a blacked out heritage grill, not those silver lettering ones. And so while I was doing this, I quickly found and quickly noticed, and I was very disappointed to hear that the TRD Lift Kit was not compatible with the lawn bed configured Tacomas, as well as like an access cab, and I think there were a couple others. And I didn't understand why. I didn't know why. I figured since the bed was a little bit longer than the short beds, that must have something to do with it. However, like many of you guys, and something I do still on a regular basis, I jumped on Tacoma World and I started looking for answers as to why the TRD Lift Kit wasn't compatible with a lawn bed configured Tacoma. Because at this point, the TRD Lift Kit had been out for a little over a year, and there was 2 things that Toyota was claiming about this kit. And obviously one was not compatible with the lawn beds, but also that it was a dealer install option only, a DIO. And so I was like, well, shoot. I'm like, I can't buy the lift kit from them. And then on top of that, if I try to get them to install it, they're going to say no because it's not compatible. Well, while going on the forums, while going on the internet, while looking all over, I stumbled across a picture of, and I don't know who he is, but I thank you, Mr. Anonymous. He posted a picture of his army green lawn bed Tacoma with the TRD Lift Kit. And he made mention, and I think it was like on Reddit, he made mention that his dealership installed it for him and that he had 0 issues and didn't know why so many dealerships were telling Tacoma owners that it wouldn't work on their trucks. So by seeing that, it gave me a boost of confidence. And what I ended up doing was I went on eBay and just Googled Toyota Tacoma TRD Lift Kit, and boom, there was a dealership in Florida that was selling them for $1,500. And it was like Stewart Coast, something like that. Stewart Coast Toyota. And so on sale for $1,500, and I'm like doing this. So I order it. I get it shipped to my house via FedEx. I get it. I go and I buy these BF Goodrich all-terrain, TA 265, 75, R16, which I think are just absolutely awesome. Awesome. These are the KO2s, just, you know, cool tires, Baja Champions. I think they're the best looking tire you can get for the Tacoma without having any rubbing or any trimming needed. I think they look super good. They just balance the truck very well, in my opinion. So, you know, I digress. I get the tires, I got the lift kit, and I go to an off-road shop in Marietta, California. And I bring them the lift kit, I bring them the tires. They charge me $500 to install the lift kit, to balance and align and do the whole thing with the tires. $500. So really out the door, you know, $2,700 for a lift kit, installation, and brand new tires. And I was super pumped. And the tires, they were slightly used. I got them from a guy who put 285s on his Tacoma. He'd only put like 2,000 miles on them. And I mean, the brand spanking new. They had the little, you know, the little prickly things on them still. So I was like, you know what, this is good. This is no harm, no foul here. Like I'm gonna save myself $500 by buying, you know, lightly used all-terrain BF Goodrich KO2s. So, long story short, did that, and I've been driving it, guys, for a year now, and I can honestly tell you that I am so happy I went with this lift kit. And one of the reasons I was really happy I went with the lift kit wasn't just because it gave the truck, in my opinion, such an awesome stance. You know, the truck just looks so much more aggressive. It's more capable. It just looks better. Tacomas look better with a little lift on them. But it came with the OEM grille, and the grille includes the TSS garnish sensor, you know, cover, which you can always tell if it's an OEM one because of how dark these inlay portions are. If it's an aftermarket, they're like usually very silver, and you can just see them, like they stand out like a sore thumb. It also came with the OEM camera bracket, and if you don't have a front-facing camera, it came with a camera plug, so you don't just have this hole there. Came with a new TSS sensor, which I didn't end up using. I'm saving that for a rainy day in case my original one breaks. I unplugged the battery before disassembling and then reassembling and putting this on, and no issues with calibration, no issues with any of that. The kit also comes with blacked out bezel covers, because long story short, in a lot of states, your fog lights can't be, you know, above a certain height. So Toyota had to come up with a solution to be within regulations for, you know, code enforcement and just the law in general. So they can place those in. A lot of people don't like them. So what you can do is, from what I've understood, if you have a dealership install the kit, you can sign a waiver and they'll leave your fog lights in, but you have to sign a waiver saying you're taking full responsibility. And if you get a ticket, you can't come back to Toyota and say, hey, you didn't black it out, blah, 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 and try to hold them accountable for your ticket. Outside of that, you know, a lot of people always end up asking me, are your upper control arms that come stock with your off-road or whatever, you know, model or trim you have of your Tacoma, does the forearms work with the lift kit? And absolutely, that's the whole purpose behind it, is you use the same coil, you use the same control arm. All you're really doing is changing out the strut. And then in the back, what you're doing is you're obviously changing out the shock, and they give you a 1-inch block, which is usually right there. However, I upgraded with the Icon Add-A-Leaf set because I was very skeptical when putting the block in. I did a lot of research, and most people, when I mean most, I mean people that typically aren't on a super tight budget, always recommend getting a Add-A-Leaf kit or just a whole entire new leaf pack in general when upgrading the suspension of your Tacoma. And the block will give you, and it will allow you to achieve that 1-inch lift in the back to offset the 2-inch lift in the front to give you pretty much a perfectly level truck. However, the ride quality, now having the Add-A-Leaf, is not nearly as good compared to having an Add-A-Leaf. The last thing I want to make mention of is the needle bearing. So you have a needle bearing in your CV axle where it's rotating around. What I would recommend doing is, when you're getting this work done, whether you're doing it yourself or you're taking it into shop, take in an East Coast Gear Supply clamshell bushing. They're like $50-$60, and then get the new gasket ring. Just do it. Have them install that while everything's disassembled, because a lot of people, once they change the angle, that needle bearing ends up failing. And I've even seen people with stock Tacomas, they have that needle bearing end up failing. Just do it. It's going to be well worth your money. It'll let you sleep better at night, and you don't have to worry about something happening later on. And now you got to disassemble everything and then repay to have everything put back together and then do it, when you can just already have it done while everything's taken apart. So that would be the only two drawbacks, in my opinion, to this lift kit, is that it comes with a block and then it doesn't come with a new bushing to replace that needle bearing. But outside of that, guys, I've been super happy with it. I have not taken this thing on a super aggressive trail, you know, fire break roads and dirt roads, but I've never taken this thing on anything super aggressive. And to be quite honest, guys, I probably never will. I plan to do another build. Spoiler alert, I plan to do another build at some point in the future, and that would be a truck that I take and I just conquer the world with it. But for me, this is something that's really special. This is something that I wanted to create an OEM packaged vehicle and kind of keep this in my family and pass this down, because like I really do believe that this is really the end for the old school styled pickup. I think those days are all but gone, and I think these vehicles are going to hold their value tremendously well. And I think 5, 10, 15 years from now, you're going to have a lot of people looking to try to pick one of these up, and you're gonna have to either spend a lot of money to get a very well maintained one, or you're going to have to spend a lot of money to either restore one that wasn't very well taken care of and it's just had a lot of, you know, miles and use and abuse on it. So what I can say is that the ride quality, I love it. I've had several people drive my truck on the channel that have been guests, and I've never had one person drive my truck and say, oh, it's stiff, or oh, this is uncomfortable, or oh, I don't really like this. Every single person that's driven it has always been pleasantly surprised and very happy with the stance from the cabin and just the overall aesthetic look of the truck in general. And now, after doing the out of leaf, I probably have about a 1/4 inch rake is kind of what we measured after doing out of leaf. But, you know, right now I'm kind of parked on a downhill slope, so it's really hard to tell. But really, my truck for the most part is almost perfectly level. And man, I just think these double cab lawn beds look so good with a lift and a little bit bigger tire. And I just think they look so solid. Super happy with it. All right, the only thing that I could see making it any better is if they would have made the TRD Pro with a lawn bed configuration. That would have been sweet. That's probably the truck I would have bought. But very happy with this truck. Very happy with what I've done. I wouldn't change anything. You know, honestly, anything at this point. I think it's very well put together for what I wanted. And once again, you know, it's not everybody's cup of tea. But all right, guys, I'm going to leave you with that. I hope that answered a lot of your questions, and I hope that cleared up any concerns you have. And one of the things that I kind of find ironic now is that over the last year, Toyota dealerships have been selling lawn bed configured Tacomas with the TRD Lift Kit brand new. And that to me is interesting, because when I was going through this process and I was calling Toyota dealerships that were local to me, they were telling me that they couldn't install the lift kit because it wasn't compatible. And when I'd ask why, they didn't know. And I think, you know, based off of the research I've done, and I'm not saying that this is fact, but I really think that the reason Toyota didn't make the lift kit, the TRD lift kit, compatible with the double cab lawn beds and the access cabs is because there's not as many of them as there are the traditional double cab short beds. And when you want to install and provide a warranty, you have to do safety testings, and you have to go through, you know, certain hoops to make that part or that modification, you know, be with under warranty and under safety specs. And it costs a lot of money to do that. And I feel like for them, they're just like, you know what, for as minimal amount of lawn beds as we sell and access cabs compared to the double cab short beds, let's just make this lift kit compatible with this. And, you know, we'll kind of have, you know, a little bit of loss of money here, but instead of spending all this money to make all of the models compatible, you know, we'll just do it that way. And so I do find it funny now that Toyota is selling them brand new from the dealerships with the lift kits on access cabs and lawn beds. And go online, go on YouTube, and you'll find videos and people doing their dealership walkthroughs, and you're going to see them and be like, oh, West Coast Taco was right. So anyhow, you know, and at the end of the day, this is a 2020. And so maybe something changed in 2023 that I'm not aware of. But I just think at the end of the day that, you know, dealerships do what dealerships do, and everyone's different. But at the end of the day, very happy with this lift kit, guys, and I think it was worth it for me. I didn't get raked over the coals. I saw people when I was originally looking at this that paid like $7 or $8 grand, like stupid amounts of money for pretty much a rebranded Bilstein 5100 with TRD graphics and supposedly tuned by the TRD team. And you know, when dealerships or when vehicle manufacturers release anything that's new, you know, for some graphics and some logos, they just mark up things ridiculously bad. It's almost embarrassing. And I know there was some guys I saw that paid a tremendous amount of money to get this lift kit. So, you know, I'm not saying that if you were one of those guys that you need to come on and, you know, say, oh yeah, I was that guy that paid X amount. But if you did, you know, at that time, if you have anything you'd like to share, shed some light on some things that you learned about the lift kit after getting it done, and what your thoughts are, let me know. And if maybe you actually got the lift kit, you know, recently or in the last year or two, and you did it in some way, shape, or form that was similar to my journey, throw it in the comment section. I'd be curious to see how your results, you know, came out and how the whole installation process went. But really, guys, at the end of the day, I didn't do anything special. I kind of went against what Toyota said you had to do, and it worked. And it's been great. When it comes to warranty, that's the big question. You know, I doubt Toyota would cover this under warranty, just because I did it not at a Toyota dealership. But really, at the end of the day, their shocks, struts, I mean, eventually they're going to need replaced, right? So at the end of the day, that's not a huge concern to me. The truck's no longer in warranty anyways, so it is what it is. And you know, outside of powertrain, I suppose, which has another year or so. But yeah, all in all, guys, solid, and highly recommend. All right, guys, once again, any questions, throw them in the comments section. Always more than happy to help you guys. And until the next one, guys, I'll be talking to you soon. See ya.